Hi, my name is Keisha Shinaki John. I'm a student at Collin College majoring in computer science, and this is my second year. I will also be graduating this semester. You can find me at Kishbeat Designs or Keisha Shinaki John on LinkedIn. Okay, so it's KISHBEADDESIGNS.
Okay, yeah. So I believe I just followed you back on our Kanaka of All Trades platform. But so computer science.
That's right.
How's that going?
Um, it's really scary, which is probably not the answer a lot of people expect.
What?
But with the current state of the world and everything, finding a job in general is hard, but finding a job in computer science is even harder.
Is that so?
Yeah, so basically everyone and their moms are going into computer science right now. So the field has become so saturated that to really stand out, you need a miracle.
So what do you do for outside extracurricular activities to kind of support your studies?
So I actually work as an intern for a company. They're actually not based in the US. They're based back at home in Nigeria, but they work with online banking.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been able to get experience through that. And then I also all my family members work in some sort of IT related field like data science. So I've also been sort of working with them to sort of get that experience.
Wow. How did you come about the internship?
The founder of the company is actually one of my uncles, not blood related, but one of the family friends that grew up with us. So when I told him I'd gone into computer science and I kind of needed that experience, he's like, "Oh, just join us, even though you're not in the country." And I was like, "Oh, okay, slay." So that was actually how I got that experience, which isn't really fair.
That's a great opportunity, and for you to still be connected through family and back home.
It's really nice. I enjoy being able to shadow them, even though it's sometimes weird with the hours since there's a 6-hour time difference right now. But It is interesting. I love what I do.
So in the US, what does your work hours look like? Are you on their clock or are you still on US clock?
So I'm mostly on my clock, but first, if they do a big update to the app and it's something they want me to see, they'll either screen record it for me and then just share with me after, or I have to work on their time and stay up a little bit later to process it.
Oh, I see. Nice. Have you learned any major or have you had any major learning experiences while interning for this company?
I would love to say yes, but I feel like not really, because before I started interning with them, I already kind of had that background knowledge, because my family did start teaching me before I even knew I wanted to go into computer science. So my long-term goal for being in computer science is actually a little odd. I don't know. So I actually hope at some point to combine the world of fashion, the fashion industry, and computer science. I'm going to start specializing specifically in artificial intelligence and machine learning, because some of the things I hope to achieve are things like improving the smartwear industry for sure, going beyond just smart watches and smart rings. If we could also get things like smart fabric, that would be amazing. So wanting to work into that aspect, and then not just even practical things like that, but just also things for fun, color changing fabrics that are built to be able to change their length or their fabric texture, patterns, things like that.
Wow, that is truly inspirational. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to fathom what that would look like, but in my mind, seeing that in the fashion world, especially on runways.
Yeah, I'll say the best way, think of it as Barbie in real life.
Oh,
that's the dream.
Okay. Was that the comment somebody made were you the one that made that comment to watch the Barbie movie the night that we stayed up all night before the trip to the Capitol?
No, that was someone else, but I did wholeheartedly support that, because that is something I would do. Because
Yeah,
like every summer, I rewatch all the Barbie movies every single summer. So it's just like that's who I am.
the inspiration. Yeah, no, definitely. I personally haven't seen the movie, but I did see an Airbnb experience where you can go and it was like a Barbie themed house. So,
Yep,
that might be on the checklist for you.
might be.
All pink. I know when I had attended one of the concerts, like was it last year? We picked a Barbie theme outfit. I ended up doing Brad's because I was like, okay, my outfit was pink, but it was also purple, but I ended up looking like a Brad's doll instead of a Barbie doll on accident. But yeah, so I mean, with all that, what is your support on the AI advancements that's happening around the world right now?
So it is kind of tricky. I, unlike a lot of my peers, actually support AI just
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like, yes, it's, like, I don't know how to phrase this. So, yes, it is some of its uses are not like ethical,
Right.
but I also feel like it has its benefits.
Right. And I think we spoke on this before about our stance on AI and how we could use it as a tool or a resource for information on a level of just communication.
Yes. So I definitely agree. Like, I feel like if it was like, because right now people just use it as a replacement for things, but if
Mm-hmm.
rather than a replacement, it was used alongside as sort of like a supporting
Mm-hmm.
item, I feel like that would be a different situation. And you can also talk about things like how a lot of like character AI, people use it to talk. As weird as it may be, it also does give some people that social interaction that they may be lacking in real life.
I think that AI is integrated in most of the applications that we already use, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure if people truly understand how dependent they are on it currently. But, I believe that we use it every day, whether we realize
Yes,
it or not.
for sure.
Yeah, and so
Because
the aspect of that I like, and our generation, if we don't know something, the common phrase might be, "Oh, just Google it," or just look it up on the internet. And back in the day, whereas a different era, because we are in the digital era, the industrial era, might have had to go and read it out of a textbook. Or if they wanted information or research, they would have to go to their local library, judicial library, or wherever information they're sourcing it from. And without access to the internet back then, they had to put in the time and the work to seek the information they needed through books or documents.
well, not everyone, but people who complain about people being too dependent on AI to research stuff, it's also like, well, you use Google or you use Bing. So it's like you are not also utilizing that. Because for right now, if you Google something, the first result that pops up, if it's not a website, is the Google AI answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did
And we
see
know
that
that is
change happen recently because it used to not be like that. It used to be advertised pages or businesses that maybe paid into Google to put their website up higher on the search engine. But now Google has partnered with some companies to implement that to be their first initial, because a lot of times websites are initially just, blogs or, some of the companies that are doing research themselves that are putting out information, or Wikipedia that had sourced information to be a reliable source, which is now an organization that seems to be lacking the funds to be able to have a free platform for users
Yeah.
to use.
I fear the AI revolution is near. That's the best way to put like this entire situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is a very controversial topic because if we look back into history, when the computers had came out, it had displaced a lot of people that were doing jobs that, didn't require a computer. And then when technology had advanced, they either had to move with the advancements of technology or they were getting left behind. And so
Yeah.
I think now, speaking on today's culture, if AI isn't implemented into businesses, or if AI isn't being resourced as a tool for companies to get better, they might be, as I fear, like out of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's a keep up or be left behind situation, but I think people don't know how to keep up
Mm-hmm.
because especially like because AI is new territory and it's basically like even though it's not exactly the same, obviously, it's almost like having another human there,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't know how to deal with that. And which is why we keep hearing that, oh, AIs are going to steal our jobs, AI are going to steal our jobs. But it's also like at the end of the day, there are going to be certain jobs that AI can't steal, like the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to try, like, just because of how into fashion I am, I'm not going to trust a robot to do my hair. I'm just not.
Right.
And also things like welding, cars. Like I'm not as much as yes, AIs are pretty much perfect because they're programs and stuff. I'm still not gonna trust that. I would rather have a human.
Right, right. So yeah, there are some industries that I believe that will still need a physical being there to do their functions and their tasks. But like you mentioned, I think that AI, like they wouldn't be able to replace everybody, but tools and resources could be used even in the welding industry for AI,
Yeah.
seeking information at the literal fingertips when needed, even though we have robots in our industry that weld for
Mm-hmm.
us in manufacturing settings. And as a lot of high schoolers and a lot of colleges that are implementing their programs to tailor around welding, AI is also a part of our curriculum. Or sorry, you know what, let me take that back. Robotic welding is a part of our curriculum, and with the elimination of human error, or the elimination of time consumed to create a product, if you're pushing numbers, they're still going to need operators, and they're still going to need technicians, and they're still going to need to maintain the robot, and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's still jobs that are out there that use AI or robots as a tool, but at the same time, like nevertheless, it's always been a competitive industry, no matter what industry you're in. And learning how to adapt with the changes of the world, I think in the scheme of things, is a bigger picture of looking at it and trying to
Yeah.
figure out as individuals where we fit in and where we belong and where we use our strengths to be able to have our talent contribute to society, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I get what you mean. On that note, I'm gonna ask you a question. Just kind of want to
Okay.
get your opinion on it. Do you think that AI is making people lazy?
No, not at all. I think that if an average person was to, okay, let's say for instance, let's take a caveman, for instance, and we give him the tools and resources to be able to advance to where we are today. Like they
Okay.
can implement whatever the caveman individually wants to, if the resources are out there, but only if the caveman will seek the resources to be able to advance themselves. And so I believe that even if one's opinion believes it can make somebody lazier, you could also look at the opposing aspect of somebody who uses it to their advantage to self-improve what they're wanting to learn about. So we go to school to get educated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if, a person's being lazy and just using it, even them using it as a resources to seek the knowledge that they're trying to obtain, I think is self-improving oneself.
Yeah. Okay. I like your take on that because I feel like that's not something a lot of people see, especially like I feel like the older generation.
Mm-hmm. And that will shift even when we get older. There will be newer things that are being implemented in the younger generation that we can't understand. And that's, as individuals, where we can decide, should we criticize it, or do, upon our beliefs and upon our experiences, are we going to learn to adapt with it?
Yeah.
So it's going to happen to all of us at some point. It's just based on one's personal belief system and what they think that the newer trends of technology, how could they help them?
You're right about that.
I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I think
you're right.
Right. So I mean, I think that it could be used for a lot. And, as someone who is establishing to be, a little bit more official as far as like the business world goes, with my 2 handles, that it just started out as a dream and made it into, my podcast and my brand. I'm, starting to seek the world of business and analytics, and AI is being implemented in the industry. And I think that a lot of younger generations were telling me about AI and how to implement it, but it took my own time to do my own research and to be able to utilize it as a tool. It was a learning curve. And so some people might have their own conspiracies about it. But unless they truly do their own research and get their own facts to back up why they, agree with it or disagree with it, is really just based on everyone's own opinion.
That is very, 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 very true. Because everyone does have different experiences that forms their opinion. Right.
Yeah. So if they're in a market where they're looking at it as, oh, well, and this is just for instance, speaking on the security of people's jobs, but and it could be a lot of people that their jobs could be irrelevant with the implement of AI. And, I think that if they're in the market where AI is not really favorable in their industry, it could be detrimental for their financial security. And that's where they might fear it, because then it creates controversy between the people who are using it as a resource, whereas people may in turn have job loss. So, it could be a controversial topic to speak about, because it does require a lot of people's opinions in society to kind of, if it's going to be pushed for or not. And I think when you mentioned ethically speaking, I think there needs to be like a cap of where the playing rules are of how we could use it.
That makes so much sense that I'm shocked like more people haven't thought about that.
Right. And, a lot of times people can kind of narrow in on the pinpoint of a scope of a problem, but it really takes, strategizing and research and, collaboration to understand that there's a bigger picture. And so, yeah, I'm really fortunate to actually be able to talk to somebody about their opinion and, their educational background on how they think about how AI is going to be implemented into our future generations. It's nice to be able to have this conversation, is all that I'm saying.
Yeah, it's definitely, because I feel like some of the opinions I have on AI usage are somewhat controversial especially in the industry I'm in. So being able to get like an outside perspective is really nice.
Right. And yeah, that's really all Kanaka of All Trades is being supportive to our local community and hearing people's stories and journeys of, you know, where they are and where they plan on going in the future. And it's all about support. So you're using it for the right reasons. And for me, it sounds like you're wanting to implement it in the fashion world. And, you know, that could be a amazing way to start new trends. It's not something that I've seen a whole lot in the fashion industry, but, you know, there are aspiring designers out there who think the same way you do. And I mean, even getting an internship with somebody who has the right mindset of wanting to implement AI into the fashion industry, like yourself, would be like great leadership and great guidance to like partner with them.
It definitely will, and it is something I've been looking into, but it's also something that's really hard because it's not something that a lot of people think about when they think about AI usage and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about it, that it's not out there yet. So you could really be the one to put yourself out there and show the world what AI could do in the fashion industry. I think that's great and very inspirational. I think that you may have like a lot of challenges and support, and you know, sometimes it could be the people closest to you, but create a community of people that support you. Create a community where people believe in what you do and 100% back it up, because it's a tough world out there. So finding people that truly support you, keep those people close.
I will.
So what was it like? What was it like? What was it like for you growing up, and how did you come to the conclusion that, you know, this is what you wanted to study and how you chose the program?
Okay, so I did grow up in a single parent household, but I did grow up around like my extended family members. So my aunts, uncles, grandparents, we all grew up in one house. So it was really like, I wasn't really lacking that father figure. And honestly, going into computer science wasn't like originally my choice or my goals. So being like African, you grow up knowing you really only have three things you could go into. You could become a doctor, you could become a lawyer, or you could become an engineer. Those are really like the three respectable careers. So I always thought I was going to go into medicine. I hated the idea. I hated the thought because I have a huge fear of blood.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, girl, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And my parents always like, oh, you're going to be such a great doctor. You're going to be a great surgeon. And I'm just like, what if I don't want to be? And then computer science became a thing and it started growing rapidly. And suddenly it got added to the lineup of respectable options. So when I graduated high school, my parents sat me down and they're like, what do you want to major in? And I was like, I want to major in fashion. And they're like, girl, are you serious? I was like, yeah. They're like, do you like money? And I was like, I do. And then they're like, yeah, you're not majoring in fashion then. And I was like, oh. And they're like, okay. You can either major in comp sci, you can major in medicine, or you can major in, I think it was like chemical engineering or something like that. And I was like, out of those three, computer science sounds the easiest. And that was kind of like how I picked my major. And then I started going to college and I got to experience, like actually started like coding and stuff, which I'd coded previously, but I'd never really been into it. So it was just kind of like, eh. But I actually started having professors that would walk through things with me. And I started actually getting that experience. And I was like, oh, wait, this is actually really cool. At some point, I sort of like stopped interacting with anything like Barbie related because I'm like, oh, that's childish. But then I got back into my Barbie bag and I was like, wait a minute. Like, these things her outfits can do aren't that impossible.
Right.
And that was sort of how I was like, what if I pulled a Barbie? And with the fact that I'm already majoring in computer science, I started gearing it more towards being able to combine it with fashion. And that was sort of how I decided what I wanted to do with my studies and my majors in the future.
Wow. Okay. So it really brought your childhood dreams and your current education and studies together.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So do you have sketchbooks? Like, have you been designing some ideas?
I have been. It's not something I really share right now, but I have been.
Of course.
I've had like different, like I know what I want, so it's been easier to design towards that like aspect. And I'm actually mostly, at least for my first few designs right now, I'm mostly targeting like haute couture, so it's mostly be runway fashion, nothing for like public consumption just yet.
Right, of course. And that's how it starts, is basically presenting a concept.
Yeah. So I feel like it would take a lot more research and experimenting and obviously funds before it would ever be ready for public consumption.
Wow. Okay. And that's when, you get to meet some of the top designers in the world, like that type of mindset. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Do you have any dreams of where you envision your life if there was no limitations?
Elaborate on that.
Do you envision yourself in New York, like as a top designer, like running a whole fashion line, pushing like products into the industry and,
Yeah, like I always think of the phrase, it takes a village. So the time I actually envision past that stage in life, like I honestly just always assume I'm going to be successful. And so at the end of the day, the ultimate goal for me is that I'm able to start a community for just family and friends. Like that's one of my biggest dreams, is like it's a community and it's just a bunch of houses. And all my family and friends live here. Like we have our own grocery store.
Oh, you give me goosebumps. That's worthy of a cause, like to be able to have family nearby and create your own community. I respect that. You're in it for the right reasons, I think.
Thank you.
So aside from your dreams and your educational background, do you have any accomplishments or extracurricular activities that you do outside of what you've currently mentioned?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the Student Government Association at Cullen. I'm the president. Which is really stressful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, being president means you have to make a lot of executive decisions. What's it like being president for Student Government Association at Cullen?
It's an experience. I feel like that's the best way to put it. It's the experience, actually. So it's really stressful. I'm gonna put that out there. It's not an easy position. It requires a lot of dedication, a lot of hours, but it is also very fulfilling. And I feel like since I started this position, I've actually been able to grow in leadership and in wisdom. So it's taught me a lot of things, not only about myself, but about helping others. And honestly, like it's motivated me a lot because apart from my future goals, I also now have a driving force, which is to be like a voice for people. So it's inspired me in ways I didn't think were possible. And it's actually I really enjoy doing it. I'm happy I'm doing it. And I honestly don't know what I'm going to do once I graduate, because I'm like, SGA has become such a huge part of my life, especially with the people I've met, the experiences I've had, and the many, many cool things I've gotten to do. It's made me a better person overall. And it's just not something I expected when I first started the position.
And so how long have you served your term as president for SGA? And then have you held any other positions prior to becoming president?
Okay, so I've held my term for this entire school year now, and I've actually served two other positions. So when I started at Collin in fall 2023, yes, oh my God, yes, it's been a while. So I started at Collin fall 2023, and I ran as a senator and was elected as one on the Plano campus. It was very competitive, I'm telling you. There were like 10 of us going for the position, and only
Oh,
5 positions were filled.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was very competitive. I was elected for as a senator on the Plano campus. When I first ran, I actually ran, but after I was elected and I started being active, I was like, oh my God, this is actually really cool. But I was really frustrated because our president of Senate at the time did not communicate whatsoever. Like, I would send her emails and she would take weeks to respond. I would give her ideas of what the students are complaining about and be like, hey, can we like work on this? Can we fix this? And I wouldn't hear anything back. She wasn't communicating it to the executive board either. So it was just really frustrating. And I wasn't really enjoying my service there. And then in the spring, the vice president position had opened up. And they had sent an email out to sort of all the senators, and they're like, oh, we're looking for like someone to fill up this position. Are you interested? And at first I was like, oh, I don't know. It's going to be kind of stressful. I'm kind of busy. Like, because I wasn't planning on being at Collin for the full 2 years. But then my mom was like, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? And I was like, you know what? That's a good point. So I emailed them back and I was like, oh, I'm interested in a position. And they're like, okay, cool. You are going to have a meeting with the e-board and just kind of give them a little 2-3 minute speech on why you want the position, and they're going to get time to question you. And I was like, okay, perfect. And I showed up. There were, I think, 2 other people or 3 other people that also wanted the position. I was like, damn, the competition's kind of tough out here. But I did my thing and I actually got the position. And I was very shocked, but I was also very happy because I'm like, yes, now I can actually do something. I can actually make a change. And literally within like the first month of me being in the position, I ran 2 successful events, which is actually crazy because so currently we have an event committee that's like a standing event committee.
Yes.
Last year, it was just me.
Okay.
So like we sent out emails to recruit for committees, but we didn't get any responses back. So it was just me. So I had to do the planning by myself. I had to do I had to get the list of all the items we needed to get them ordered. I just basically was in charge of everything.
Right. And how did that
I was
go?
really nervous. It actually shockingly went well. We were even able to submit my first event for our event of the year submissions at region and state, and which I believe we got second place at region or something like that.
That's awesome. So all your hard work was recognized.
Yes. And it was like, I was really nervous because, again, I didn't have any help. It was my first event. Like, I was suddenly placed in this position.
So, like, navigating everything by yourself and, like, doing all that you could to be able to enhance the other students' Collin experience is a lot of work.
It is. And I'm so thankful because I actually had my friends. And even though they weren't active participants of SG, like they weren't committee members or anything, they showed up to every single event I hosted to help me.
Wow.
Like sometimes they were there more than the actual SJ senators, which was kind of insane to me because I was like, okay, period.
Okay, so fast forward. Okay, so then what happened next?
So after that, like at the end of the year, the elections for the new e-board began. And I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed being a vice president.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could be an amazing president.
Right.
So I decided I was going to run for the position. And thankfully, God willing, I ran unopposed. So that's how I became president. And that's kind of been my life ever since.
Nice. Yeah, so as a senator of the Tech Campus, being a part of events, awards, and community service committee, I believe you've been a great leader. As to somebody who has any questions, you're able to answer them. The way you hold your meetings seem very organized. You take a lot of notes. You're very involved. As president of SGA, I've seen you at events and, even the behind the scenes, you are president dedicating your time to the Student Government Association. So I commend you for all of your hard work and all that you put into SGA, because I believe with all of the leadership qualities and the experience that you've had serving on the election board, it will transfer, especially when you want to move forward and starting your community.
I can definitely see the skills I've picked up as president and senator and all those things. I can see them translating into, I see that as being something I'm going to keep with me for the rest of my life.
Right.
They're all important skills like conflict managing, communication, delegation, things like that.
And so, have you had any challenges with leadership while being on the executive board? As far as you mentioned, conflict resolution, has there been times or instances that you could share with us that you were able to overcome certain challenges?
Definitely. There's been many. I would mostly say probably the biggest conflict or issue that I've had is honestly just time management, not on my part, but on the part of other officers and senators, because everyone's busy. And so sometimes it's hard to get them to me or to assign tasks to them and make sure it's done in a timely manner. So that's honestly probably the biggest issue I would say I faced as my time as president, is just getting people to do what they need to be doing.
Right.
And I think I've just sort of managed it by sort of picking up their slack. But at the same time, it's also been important in knowing when to get the advisors involved and ensuring that I'm checking on them regularly to keep them accountable.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the club does have an agenda with roles and responsibilities and deadlines that need to be accomplished. And so, in that regards, I could see how that could be challenging.
Yes.
So aside from Student Government Association, is there any other student organizations that you're a part of?
Yeah, so I'm actually a member of our ASO, which is our African Student Organization. So I am just a member just because SGA does have a rule that if you are currently on the e-board and you weren't already on a previous e-board, you can't join any new ones after you join the SGA e-board. So if I was already an e-board member, an ASO, then I joined SGA, I could remain an e-board member, but after joining SGA, I can't join any other e-board. So unfortunately, I am forced to stay just a member in a lot of other organizations.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's good information to know. Okay, so as ASO, what do you guys do as a club?
A little self-promo, they are hosting the ASO Gala on the 4th of April at the McKinney Campus Conference Center. It's going to be really fun. So we've been planning for months now. I'm a member of their food and drinks committee, and we've met since last semester. So it's something that's actively going on, and it's going to be just a night of modeling, food, entertainment. So it's going to be really fun, and I enjoy having a place to connect with my fellow Africans and fellow Nigerians. So it's been really enjoyable. But we do a lot of bake sales, and then we usually actually go ahead and do once a semester we'll do a community event. And so this semester we're actually going to be packing boxes to donate to shelters. And so the boxes are gonna have like toiletry, food, and things like that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's really helpful to our local community. So I'm glad to see that you guys are, doing events and wanting to help out where it's needed that's closer to around our surroundings. So what are your plans after school? Are you going to transfer to get your bachelor's, or what is your next step as far as your education goes?
Yeah, so I actually will be transferring after this semester. I'm not sure where yet,
Mm-hmm.
but once I do that, I'm gonna get my whatchamacallit, my bachelor's,
Of
and
applied
then
science, or bachelor's of science, or
Bachelor of Science.
okay. So you're getting your bachelor's of science, and is it going to be related to computer science at all?
Yes.
Are you going to be minoring any of the fashion?
It's going to depend on if like whatever school I end up at has a program. If they have like any sort of fashion program, then yes, I will be minoring in that. But if they don't, then I most likely won't be.
Joining maybe like a fashion sort of student organization within the university, or like some type of club related to the fashion industry?
Yes, I would join one, or if one wasn't already established, I would create one.
Ah, I see. And so, even given all your experience holding different executive positions and taking on the events committee itself, I think will help you prepare for when you want to start that student organization. And I hope to see it thrive and flourish.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I really do respect all that you've done for the school so far. And I even talked to you briefly before that you were also going to be speaking at the graduation ceremonies. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as the president of student government, they usually have me do the invocation at the graduations. And it's basically about, I think, 3 to 5 minutes. And it's me just kind of being like, I'm so proud of all the graduates, and I'm really thankful to the professors and staff that support us through everything. And I really look forward to seeing what the graduates do. And so it's a big honor for me because I know that being able to hear, especially being able to hear someone at the same like life stage as I am, telling me that they're proud of me is usually something big. So I'm glad that I'm able to do that for the other students. And I look forward to doing it again at this year's graduation. And since I will be graduating, the message will also be for me, which I think is really sweet.
Well, that's amazing. I would love to see any recording or footage or anything that you have regarding, your speech. I'm not sure if I'm able to attend the speech, but I'd love to support you in, your upcoming speeches at the graduation.
It'll be on YouTube. So I think like Colin live streams it. And then after the live stream is over, they go ahead and just post it on YouTube. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We'll have to put the link in the description, or you could check out her profile handle. Because, yeah, this will be definitely an inspiring message that you send out to all of the students that have graduated and to everyone who's helped you along the way. I would love to see that. So, yeah, I'll also be able to put a link where people could find your message after I post a podcast and after you do the speech as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with upcoming events that are happening, I know that you mentioned SGA and ASO. Are there any current competitions coming up that you'll be attending as the school year comes to an end?
Student government will actually be going to our state conference in April, where we'll be competing for several awards like Event of the Year, Community Service Event of the Year, Song of the Year, Poetry of the Year, Essay of the Year, Chapter of Excellence, and some other things. So hopefully we are able to bring back home the gold. And yeah, and I feel like that's really the only thing we have as we close off the school year. We do have an event coming up, not a competition, but we have our SJ garage sale coming up. So we are going to be selling items all priced between $1 and $5, and we are going to donate the money to a charity, and then any item we have left over that isn't been sold is going to be donated to shelters across the DFW area.
Okay. Wow. Sounds like the organization itself, is very engaging and active within the local community and supporting the local community. It really seems like all the student organizations that you're a part of reach that capacity to want to help the local community.
Yes, that is something I'm very big on. So I'm very big in community. So anything that's able to help that is definitely something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, and I do remember, our student organization staff was mentioning, what you're passionate about, and then what would you want to advocate about. Would you like to share maybe some of what you had spoke about when we were doing like a group discussion?
Yeah, so one thing I'm passionate about and I want to advocate for is more resources for lower income families and immigrants, because a lot of them are, like, even though resources are provided for them right now, I feel like it's not enough, especially when it comes to like basic needs like clothing and education. I feel like that's definitely something we need to do better on as a community and as a society. So that's something I'm really passionate about, and that's why, like, apart from wanting to intersect AI in fashion, I just want to go into the fashion industry in general to be able to be the one to provide like the resources I think they need.
Nice. Is there also any other nope, lost my train of thought.
That's real.
Yeah. But let me think. Oh, it was a good one too, and I forgot it. Dang. So at the Capitol, did you see anybody that was very influential into supporting any legislators' discussions on bills that they were creating, or
So I definitely listened to Mihaela Plessa. I think that's how to say her name. And I liked what she was trying to do with healthcare for, I think it was women or something like that.
Yeah. So helping, I believe it was like on insurance as well, affordable healthcare.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I'm big on. I also got to meet Senator Angela Paxton, and I wish we were able to have a chance to hear what bills she was enacting. But even without that, I would just say as a woman in politics, like, she is very empowering, because sometimes the political community and climate is not the most favorable to women. So
I'm sure she faces a lot of struggles and challenges herself, but yes, her message is very inspirational, really truly wants to help the community, and being able to have her come up on stage and kind of speak to the students at Collin was a great experience, as for somebody as myself who's not very political. Like, I really got to hear her message, and I believe that I agree with her and what she's trying to do for our local community.
I agree.
So is there any other experiences at the Capitol that you were able to learn from?
Honestly, I was just glad that I got to like meet new people, and I got to interact with people I wouldn't interact with on the regular. So that was nice.
Yeah, so for most of who don't know, there was 160 students that were bused at like 4 a.m. We had to get there by 3 a.m.
4 a.m. in the morning.
majority of us did not sleep in fear that we would miss the bus. So a lot of us had pulled all-nighters to be able to attend the Capitol. In turn, made us a little bit sleepy. So no disrespect, but we had a very long journey riding from the Dallas area all the way down to Austin, where the state capitol was. There was recognition of Collin College Day by the House and Senate, or
Yeah, the Senate and the House.
yes, the Senate and the House, and being a part of that experience for Collin to be able to push what the legislators and the school or institution have been working on, and 40 years in progress. This has been a very big day for all of us as students and faculty to be able to experience. So that it was a great turnout.
Aloha Kanaka. Unfortunately, my computer died mid-sentence, so, I hope you learned something from this episode, especially hearing about Kishi's time while she's been at Collin College. If you would like to find her on social media, follow her platforms, as well as the Kanaka of All Trade platforms. There is a video of us at the Capitol with SGA that you could check out. I really enjoyed making the content for the video while I was there. I learned so much while being at the Capitol. I'm so grateful for the institution as well. Oh my gosh, I got a phone call. Okay, bye guys!